If you're watching this video, then you're trying to get an SPSS data file into R, so here's how you do that. In this video, I'll be using R version 4.1.2 and version 2.4.3 of the Haven package. If you don't know why it's important to know these things, the version numbers, then check out my video on understanding R packages. So here we are in R Studio. I'm going to open up the code called project code. If you don't already have the Haven package installed, you can run this first line. I've already installed it in R, so I'm just going to load that package by running the library function. So now I can use the Haven package and all of its functions. And I'm going to use, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to read in the data, and I'm going to use the read_sav function in the Haven package. And that function is for reading in SPSS files. And so I'm going to run this line of code here, and I'm going to save that result in this object called demo data. So I can see here in the top right corner that it has 6,400 observations and 29 variables. We'll be able to take a look at that. I'm going to use the str or structure function from the utilities, the utils package. I'm going to run that on the demo data. And so that gives me an overview of the structure of the data file. So I can look up here, I'm scrolling to the top, and it lists each variable name after a $sign. Tells me that the first one, age, is numeric, and it gives me the first few values of that. It tells me that it has a few different attributes. One of the attributes is label, and the value for that attribute of label is age in years. If you're familiar with SPSS, SPSS stores metadata, so data about the variables also. And so somebody at some point typed in age in years for this column to signify that this variable reflects age in years. And then there's the format that this variable adheres to in SPSS. And then there's the next variable called marital, and its first few values are ones and zeros. Of course, that's not particularly helpful because we don't know what that means, and I'll come to that. So the label property or attribute for marital is marital status. And so that's what marital means. It's marital status. And then again, we have the format in SPSS, and now we have this unique attribute here called labels. And then it gives the names of those labels. So the values of 0, 1 have the labels of unmarried and married, respectively. So that's nice. In SPSS, this is another piece of metadata, so that if you go to the variable view in SPSS, it tells you the 0 is equal to unmarried and the 1 is equal to married for this column marital. So we see that for that information is embedded within all of these columns, and that's helpful. So all of that information that is otherwise captured in SPSS, and one of the things I think makes SPSS useful, is now in R. Now let's take a look at the first few rows of the demo data by using the head function in the utils package. This is what that looks like. And so you can see age, the first 6 rows here, 55, 56, etc. Marital now looks a little bit different than we'd be used to. So it says the first value is 1, and then it has in brackets here that means married. The first value is 0, or the second value is 0, and then it says unmarried. So it's simultaneously sort of displaying both of these things. But if you were to calculate a mean on marital or address right now, it would be taken as numeric here. And or like ink cat 3422, but the value labels are $50, then the tilde, $75 plus, etc. And so if you wanted, instead of having numeric values, you wanted the actual labels to come through so that you can do things like create a table using for marital using married and unmarried versus 1 and 0, which may not make any sense to a reader, then you can use the as factor function from the Haven package and apply that to the data set. Now, if we do that and then reassign the result of that back to demo data, what it's going to do is it's going to take this, and then for every variable that has these labels here, label representations for numeric values, then it will convert those to factors. And so let's do that. And now let's look at the head of this again. And now we see that in contrast to earlier where it showed 1, 0, 1, 1 for marital, now it just has married, unmarried, married, married. And so oftentimes you'll want to have the data represented in this way for the purposes of your analyses, graphs, charts, etc. Now, one of the other things that you can do is extract out the variable labels. You may want to actually, instead of show like address when you create a table, you may want to actually show the label, the more meaningful label in things like tables and charts. And so you can use the metadata from Haven to take that into account when you're creating tables and charts, but that requires some manipulation of the data, and I will show that in a future video. I hope this video was useful. If you want to see more videos like it, please subscribe and visit my website at parsimonyinc.com.